So guys, this is a video that just focuses on one specific incident, and it all originated from this clip that was sent to me from John Bell on Twitter. And he has more videos like that. Apparently he spends a lot of time looking into the night sky using this, whatever it is, infrared camera, trying to spot unusual objects. And one object that he spotted can be seen in this video. Let's look at the original clip and then take it from there. So this is an airplane, just for reference, okay? No misunderstanding there, very clearly an airplane. But what is that? Oh my God.
Well, that thing's huge.
That thing is huge, mate.
Went right by it, too.
Oh, there it is. Well, it seems to get smaller.
That was crazy.
Did you notice that? Did you notice that? How, like, when it first popped up next to this plane, it looks humongous, right? It's a humongous dot that's moving through the night sky. And he doesn't seem to move out, right? The camera gets a bit shaky for a second, but it's not that he's like moving in and out significantly. It stays roughly at the same distance or like scale. But now the object is much smaller, okay? And that quite obviously explains what's going on here, okay? It is most probably something that even might be moving close to the camera at a slow pace, and that gets amplified by being slightly out of focus. You know, the lens is struggling to focus on it, and then it becomes like this blurred moving dot, right? Which again would indicate that it's something that's rather close to the lens rather than a satellite that's further away, because then all the other stars would be out of focus as well. That also explains why it seems to change size, right, as the video goes along, because maybe now the lens is trying to focus on it. Now, I don't know what it is. It could be a drone. It could be many things. But what's interesting is that this is very reminiscent of the 1996 Tether Incident. This is a legendary UFO incident that, again, happened in, I think, February 1996. Don't nail me down on this. And in this incident, a tether drifted away. This is a 12-mile long tether, I believe. It's a very, very long device that accidentally drifted away from, I don't know, was like a space station or whatever. So anyway, it drifted away out into space. And as you can see, they're filming this here with this full spectrum camera. And suddenly you can see all these objects floating around it and seemingly floating behind it as well. Like, if you keep watching, you'll see a lot of these objects seem to flow behind it. So keep in mind, you can kind of use this tether, if that is the case that they're behind it, like a ruler, right? So if this thing is 12 miles long, then a lot of the objects you're seeing here would be enormous in size, right? Like, this would be like almost a mile long in diameter, these giant circular ships that all seem to fly around. And it almost looks like a microscope view or something, right? You can see all the, like, hundreds of them floating around this spaceship. And for the longest time, I'm not gonna lie, I thought this was super credible, because this footage comes from NASA, right? And it's like, okay, so what the hell is that? You can see it clearly flying behind the tether. These are huge objects. How are you gonna explain this? Well, there is an explanation for it, and I think it also applies to John Bell's video that we looked at in the beginning. This is from Season 1, Episode 13 of the History Channel's UFO Hunters, okay? And in this particular episode, they focused on this Tether incident. Part of that was the Tether incident. And they created an experiment that replicates the conditions of that specific camera, of that specific circumstance. Obviously, you can't replicate it in space directly, but they're doing an incredible job of explaining how this happened and how this footage came to be. Let's take a quick look.
He has set up a spatial representation of the tether and the windows of the shuttle.
NASA maintains that this is nothing more than ice and debris that's around the ship that's out of focus because this is a telephoto lens. Now, the camera was using a lens, a telephoto lens, which incorporated a mirror. This hole that's in the center of this mirror also leaves an artifact, the same artifact that you see in the discs.
Right, you notice that these discs have the same form factor as this mirror that was sitting around that specific camera. Now check this out.
Light illuminates these objects from behind, and then this light bounces off the mirrored lens.
And you can kind of see it here, right? These are not moving, but this is an out of focus image that uses a similar camera. And immediately you see that anything that's out of focus immediately turns into these huge circular artifacts that have a hole in the middle, because they're basically a reflection of the mirror that sits around the camera.
This can be seen by Tyndall's example. He has prepared a small piece of fishing line that is backlit by a green light. However, when the line is passed in front of the camera, It doesn't look like fishing line.
Look at this.
It
Look at
takes the
this.
form of a
Do you see this? So he has a piece of fishing line that he just holds in front of the camera. So it's not even a little circular object. It's a little elongated object that's been highlighted with a green laser pointer, as you could see. And because of that mirror that sits around the camera, and it's very close to the camera, it gives the illusion of a circular object with a hole in the middle, and even that little indentation that you could see on all these objects in the famous Tether Incident clip. It's exactly the same. It's a perfect match. And I love that they did this exercise, right? UFO Hunters used to be a show that obviously tries to embrace the whole UFOs, they are here, and the old alien narrative and all that. But I love that they did this experiment because it literally debunks the Tether Incident and gives the perfect explanation that you just can't argue with. This is exactly what it is. So it was most probably little pieces of debris and ice that were very close to the camera, floating around the spaceship, and giving the illusion of them being disks that are in the distance. But how come they're behind the tether, right? We still haven't solved that question. Well, let's keep watching.
You see how overexposed the tether is at this point? Even though this is in the foreground, it gives the illusion that it's passing behind.
Right, did you see that? He just showed it, he just gave this example. Even it's in the foreground, but because the tether is so overexposed and so bright and so dominant, it's literally maxing out the light that this camera can receive. That then leads to the illusion of objects being behind it because the brightness of the tether, or the replica of this, dominates anything that sits around it and just overrides basically any object that would float in front of it, and with that giving the optical illusion of it floating in the background behind it, when in fact it is much closer to the camera than the tether itself.
The image on STS-75's camera is overexposed, meaning that objects appear brighter than they actually are. This gives the illusion that they are behind the tether, when they are actually in front.
So absolutely perfect, beautiful debunking here, and all the credit goes to UFO Hunters, and I really appreciate that a show like that usually embraces the whole aliens, they're all here narrative, and just looks at the facts, okay, and it's like, look, let's replicate this, let's create an experiment that tests it, that puts it to the test, and we might not be able to replicate it, but in this particular case, it's a perfect explanation. It's a perfect replica of what we saw on this footage. And I think it also explains John Bell's little post, because it's the same effect. I have to assume it is something that's probably quite close to the camera that then is just out of focus. The camera struggles to focus on it. And again, that's why later in the clip, suddenly it changes the shape, because now the camera is adjusting to it. I don't know what it is, whether it's a drone or another aircraft, or I have no idea what exactly it is, but it most probably is not aliens. All right, so I found like this John Bell clip is a nice way into talk to you guys about the Tether Incident, which is again a legendary UFO case. I hope you enjoyed this little breakdown. If you did, don't forget to smash the like button. I would appreciate that. Guys, this video was sent to me by someone over on our Discord. You can do the same. Join our Discord through the link in the description. Send me your clips in the DMs, and then I'll add them to the list. And then at some point, if they're good clips, we're gonna look at them in these videos and try to explain them. I hope you enjoyed it. Smash like, subscribe, join the Discord, and I see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves. I'm out. Bye.